David, and we are coming at you live from our beautiful studio in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada, with our daily live show. On today's show, we're discussing multiple things, including JP Morgan Chase is building out a blockchain-based payment infrastructure, which cryptocurrencies potentially could benefit. Also, Ripple officially purchases Fortress Trust, the custodian for many large companies, including one of our sponsors, iTrust Capital. We're going to talk about that and what that means for the maxis. It's also Forest Friday. We got lots of charts and metrics for you. But first, another thing I have for you is your other host. His name is Robin.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we are the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where, unlike the other boring YouTube channels,
Which ones are boring?
all of them but us. Now,
Wow.
we take the stale information and we repackage that whole thing up in a fun and sexy way.
All of it.
All of it. And then we also question if Bitcoin is over 30,000.
It's not over 30,000.
It's not over 30,000. Damn it. Stupid. Stupid Bitcoin.
Fridays are special days. That is the only day of the week where we have a third co-host, like an actual co-host, not a guest, part of our show. And that is my bestie, boys. Rocco's. How you doing, bestie?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Man, thank you so much for joining us, brother. We appreciate it. You know, having you on once a week, I don't know, man. I kind of want to have you on more. We love having you on. How have you been? How have you been reacting to the markets? Are you
I
depressed?
feel like you're trying to replace me.
Potentially. No. What are your thoughts on where the markets are for us? Just in general, you know, have you been active trading this week? You know, volume is under 25 billion. The excitement of Grayscale and BlackRock and everything kind of has subsided, and we're just trading sideways. Is this going to be our life for the next month and a half?
Yeah, I think October 16th is the date everyone should keep in mind. That's the date where we could get a Bitcoin ETF approval. There have been some rumors swirling around, which we'll get into later. But yeah, for me, I've just been range trading short-term stuff, buying bounces, selling some resistances here and there. But overall, for like long-term accumulations and long-term bids, we're close to where I would want to bid, and I think we're close to where a lot of the market would want to bid. But from a time perspective, as everyone's just being patient, right? If you buy now and you just kind of are sitting around waiting for the Bitcoin halving and a Bitcoin ETF, that's really what's going to bring in demand. And before we get either of those two things, it's just kind of like, well, there's not a ton of upside. I'm not entirely convinced there's a ton of downside either. I know a lot of people are super bearish. I think we probably get a slow bleed, sideways chop, just harsh conditions to be investing in anyways.
That sounds really exciting. French Toaster said, does Forrest have a YouTube channel? Yes, he does. It is under Sistine Research. I will be posting the link in the chat here in a second, so make sure to go subscribe if you haven't. Now, I do want to give a couple shout-outs before we get any further to our sponsors. Today's 4K stream is brought to you by CAMS Blue Wire Technology. If you own a business or you have a friend that runs a business and you want to maximize your networking, your IT, and your cybersecurity, and you just don't have the know-all or the time to mess with those things because you just want to make money for your business, there is one company we believe you should call, and that is Blue Wire Tech. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Also, shout out to brand new channel sponsor, Radix, the leading layer 1 DeFi in our space. Radix, radically better DeFi. We just booked their CEO to join us in a couple weeks. We're going to discuss all things DeFi, layer 1, the big Babylon upgrade. And so big shout out to Radix. And thank you for sponsoring the show. If you want to learn more information, there is a link to visit their website in the description of this video. Now, gentlemen, yesterday was the first day of the NFL season. Although we might be too busy to watch games anymore. And sadly, I had to turn down 3 or 4 invitations for fantasy football. But we did catch some highlights from the game on Twitter. And well,
Why do I feel like I'm not actually going to get a highlight?
Rocco, coupon. Oh, coupon. Well, here we have a synopsis of the Chiefs yesterday and how they lost. I really don't have time to watch football anymore. But all I kept seeing on Twitter is that Chiefs receivers can't catch. I know, Rob, you didn't watch the game because we just talked about it for us. Did you catch the game last night?
I didn't. I don't
No,
even have
okay.
cable.
Me neither. Yeah, cable's overrated. I was getting charged an arm and 3 legs for cable. But yeah, there you have it, guys. The synopsis, just in case you also didn't have time to watch the game. Speaking of watching, I want you to pay close attention to one lady, and it's not this one on the screen right now. Man, just be careful, guys, okay? Be careful. Also, guys, we're making advancements in technology. We are now able to give snakes arms.
Hey. Hey, you like having these legs?
I feel like
You like having your legs
evolution's
back?
going backwards with technology nowadays.
What is this?
She's going with it.
I feel like this
Hey.
is
You know what the sad thing is?
this is the beginning of a good Godzilla movie. I'm just letting you know. Like this is
You-
how it starts, and then next thing you know, you got fully mech'd out freaking Godzilla Gia monster.
You know what the crazy thing is? Is someone spent money researching and coming up with this and then building it, you know? I can't imagine that money being spent better elsewhere. Finally, this is from Coin Bureau. Dad, there's a broke crypto trader under my bed, and well, there's just a mirror and you looking back at yourself.
Mm.
That's all I got for the funnies, Rob. You sometimes you have some funny stuff.
No, I don't
you
got
wanna
any.
share?
I got nothing today,
Nothing.
man.
Okay.
Nada.
What about yelling at the chat and saying hello to the new people?
Okay. Yeah. Ladies, gentlemen, and people in between. If you are new here, say hello so that way we can drop an hola back at you. We have Spicy Poppy, Grant F, and also XSI Gaming. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. I don't know why I'm so good.
Red Elephant. What's that game they played during like the holidays? White Elephant, right? Where you have to like trade gifts and stuff. Anyways, so I got
Anna.
yeah. I did pull up this video. So this is a 13-minute video. I'm obviously not going to play all of it, but the idea of Bitcoin education is gaining a lot of traction overseas. Maybe not here in the U.S., but overseas. El Salvador, the president, Nayib Bukele, came out and said his goal by 2025 is to teach Bitcoin in every single school in El Salvador. And we're seeing kids as young as age 6 start to learn about Bitcoin, the importance of money. And so this is a little snippet of this video. We did repost it to our Twitter. So if you want to watch the whole thing, guys, go ahead and do so. But I want to show a little snippet of it, of how they're teaching these kids. This is pretty cool. Let's take a look.
The other sort of miner. And in order to find new Bitcoin, they have to find a nonce or a match to a target.
So the way that Bitcoin works is that every time you make a match, you create something called a block. And a block is essentially a record. The first block is called the Genesis block. It's the first one. It's like Genesis is like the beginning. You see how they kind of like connect here on a chain?
Oh, yeah.
So this is called a blockchain. And the more matches you find, the more Bitcoin you get. And whoever has the most Bitcoin wins.
But how does the attack happen?
I'll show you how the attack happens. So what happens is that every turn, you roll a die. If you roll too many red guys, they are making their own chain. When they have more of them than yours, it's called a 51% attack. Because they have more than 50% of the blocks. And if their chain gets low,
I'm curious. Are we able to get this man in this video down there in the United States Congress to teach the likes of Brad Sherman and Elizabeth Warren maybe how Bitcoin works? And maybe when they start, creating rules and regulations.
I'm telling you, they already know how it works, and that's the scary part. They see that their buddies in the financial sector, that the institutions that fund campaigns and fund these political dinners, and also work hand in hand to make sure
And fund their bank accounts too.
Yeah, work hand in hand to make sure that the stocks of politicians happen to go up by
They
accident.
work money in account.
Anyways, what I'm saying is that I think that it's just not coincidence that they are working in the interest of the banks, the ones that are funneling money to them. And for that reason, I think they are well aware of how Bitcoin works. Not all of them, but I think that some of the outspoken politicians.
I bet you majority, Robin, have no idea how Bitcoin really works.
I think there's probably more politicians that don't understand Bitcoin, but I would not be surprised. Like Gary Gensler knows damn well how Bitcoin works.
Gary Gensler,
and there's a handful of politicians that are well aware of the technology, its benefits, especially when compared to traditional fiat. And then if you put that side by side to Bitcoin, you compare the two, I'm sure it's a no-brainer which one is optimal to run financial or new fintech. And they're just trying to slow it down because they're trying to just look out for their homies.
Well, it's a threat. It's a threat
Yeah,
to
exactly.
the system that they've been making money off of for decades. Billy said that this gentleman was at Bitcoin 2023 with this game. Did you do you remember seeing him, Rob, or running into him at all?
Who?
This guy on the screen. This guy right here with the game, the card game. He was teaching the kids with. Billy said he was at the Bitcoin convention. I'm curious if you remember or you ran into him.
Man, I've read so many thousands of people. I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly.
Forrest, what are your thoughts on the importance of education? Is age 6 too young? You know, what are your thoughts on that? And how important is it to educate people on Bitcoin and blockchain technology? Or is this something that people are just going to be it's going to be put in front of them and they're not even going to know they're using blockchain?
Man, leave the kids alone. Leave the kids out of this.
Teach 'em.
Like,
Leave them kids alone.
to me, look, I am very for financial education. I think our country in particular, and probably most countries, but our country in particular, does a really poor job of financial education. I'm all for like econ classes, personal finance, understanding interest rates, mortgages, how to do your taxes, like all the practical stuff. But when you start, it's interesting because I think blockchain, like I think blockchain technology education could be very, very important. Just much like programming, teaching kids how to program. But when you get to like pushing a one specific asset, which is an investment on like a 6 to 8 year old kid, like and it's not like you could replace it with Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, like any coin. You could even like, I don't know, stop. I don't know. I just feel like the asset class as a whole is too young and too risky and way too volatile to be like indoctrinating young kids into like buying this asset that has 70% drawdowns plus every 4 years. And even if you think it's the future, and there's a really strong chance that it is the future, I think that the conversation should be more about like the blockchain aspects of it, the tokenomics aspects of it, like inflation, like the maximum supply versus an inflationary.
What about leverage trading?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, high risk, no reward. No, it's good. It just, for me, I think you got to be a little bit careful because I do view Bitcoin as a religion and a cult, and I think a lot of people do. Like some people might get upset with me for saying that, but I do think a lot of people do recognize it as like a religious cult to some degree. And when you start indoctrinating kids into like one particular investment asset, that's a little bit. I don't know. It's skating the line.
I think that
for sure. For
I think
me,
6 years old might be a little young for that. I feel like in high school you start learning shop, like woodworking. Also, you have
Not anymore, bro.
no, but there's still, you can still sign up for those. It might not be available at all public schools, but there's always some elective classes that you can sign up for, whether it's art, wood shop. You have cooking or was it home economics? There's a couple others.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a good spot for it. I think if you want to teach Bitcoin, I think teaching just general economics is probably a good way of going about it, just making people aware of the faults that the current system has. I think that was the biggest thing I took away when I really dove into crypto was, oh, I learned how money works. Well, that's pretty disappointing. And, that is crypto fixes a lot of those issues. So for me, I feel like you should just have an economics class and perhaps have a part of the curriculum be blockchain and dive into Bitcoin in that curriculum. But as part of maybe a 1 week study, but I think that you should look at the broader economics because obviously you're going to be using fiat to buy crypto. So
You're sounding like a Bitcoin minimalist, Robin.
minimalist, that's all you got.
That's all I need.
Okay,
It is interesting though, because as people learn how the money system works, naturally they're gonna be like, well, what the hell? What kind of system is this? What is our other option? And here comes Bitcoin. Now, Forrest, you brought up Bitcoin being a cult. I met someone last night and we started talking. He's a big crypto guy. And he said he was investing in Bitcoin back in 2013. So he's been investing for a long time. And he told me as the years have gone on, he has become more and more of a Bitcoin maximalist. And I understand why. All the hacks, all the scams, all the fraud, all the money being stolen, all the manipulation, right? With these altcoins and the BS tokens. I'm sure the dude's gotten burned several times investing in this thing and just looks back and said, if I would have just bought more Bitcoin and held it, I would have been in a better spot. So I understand those people who have been through that with altcoins. I'm not saying it's the right way to think about things or it's the right way to be. I'm just saying I get it. Now, the whole thing about it being a cult and like attacking everything else and everything else is garbage, I don't agree with that. But it's something interesting I was thinking about yesterday as I was talking to this guy. Another interesting thing, what's kind of scary, we talk about this all the time, but here you go. Over 80% of all U.S. money created took place between 2020 and 2023. Think about that.
Do you have any of that printed money?
No.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, well,
I don't either.
it's in the studio in form of cameras and stuff. But guys, over 80% of all the money ever created in the history of the United States of America happened in the last 3 years. 3 years. This chart is insane to me. I don't know. Are you guys? You think I'm overreacting here, or what are you guys' thoughts?
Dude, I've been saying that for the since we started the show. I was like, hey, tripled the money supply in 2 years. Tripled. And yeah.
What do you think, Forrest? Any thoughts on this before I move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly the case for asset prices going up, whether it's real estate, Bitcoin, anything that's like a commodity or has a finite supply or limited supply. You introduce more fiat liquidity, it's going to push asset prices higher, and you get these bubbles, and that's also called inflation.
It's interesting you brought that up because you see go back to that chart real quick. You have that slope there. Remember when we had, what was it, like a 12-year bull, like steady bull market where every year the S&P 500, with the exception of like 1 year, I was making higher highs or breaking new all-time highs. And then boom, you had the 2021 where everything took off. It's interesting, man. You print more money and, well, stock market route.
Well, that's why everyone's saying it's a bubble, right?
Yeah.
It's just inflated money that was created out of thin air that is propping up these prices. I mean, you have investors in the traditional world saying, "Hey, it's insane! Like some of these companies are trading at like 20x revenue, or 20x P&L, or 20x EBITDA, and it's just not like fundamentally, it's not."
Is it a bubble though? I mean, think about it, because it's more that's just debasing our purchasing power. And the scary thing is this hasn't even played through the system yet, not in its entirety. There's a lot of money that was printed that hasn't worked through inflation yet, and so it's gonna be interesting when they turn the money printers back on, right?
Forrest, I want to share a tweet that you tweeted out. The attention economy of the 2024 presidential election will be monetized with ERC20 tokens. You're pretty spot on with your analysis. Not saying you're 100% right, because no one is, but you're pretty damn spot on. You're at least get by the bullseye. Well, what do you mean by this?
Yeah, so this is simply a prediction that I believe there's a really strong chance that with the meme coin stuff that we've seen between Shiba Inu, Pepe, Dogecoin, and all of the degenerate meme coins that we've seen spun up in the past, most of which go to zero after a couple days to a couple weeks. Some go to zero within a couple hours, and they're just straight up rug pulls. My belief is that you will see a Donald Trump meme coin. You'll probably see some sort of political party coin, ERC20 token, whether that's a Republican Party, Democratic Party, or both, to use. Because what they're doing, what a lot of these coins are doing now is they just have sell taxes attached to them. So every time it's sold, there's a 1% tax, and then they can put that 1% tax towards anything. They can put it towards charity, they can put it towards donations to a certain political party. I just think that ERC20 tokens are going to be used as an investment and speculative vehicle for political parties and political candidates. I think you could see an RFK Jr. token. I think will very likely see a Donald Trump token do well. I think you'll probably see DNC and GOP tokens. I just think that these ERC20 tokens, as we get to the 2024 presidential election, which is still over a year away.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember 2020, it got insane. And I think 2024 is only going to be more mental illness than 2020. I think it's going to be absolutely nuts. I think you're going to see the political division like we've never seen before. And I can't imagine with all of that attention happening in the space, all of the memes, all of the crazy stuff you're going to see posted on social media about these candidates and these political parties, that we're not going to see somebody spin up a token and see it do decently well. If a frog can make it to page one, I don't see a reason why RFK or Donald Trump or Republican coin or Democrat coin can't.
Do you think that it'll catch enough market share and enough actual users will buy it and it'll maybe crack into the top 100? Or do you think it's more just you're going to have this onslaught of new crap tokens that pump for a week and then disappear?
Yeah, I think they'll fly and die. I think it'll be like Pepe. I think will at some point in 2024. My expectation is that there will probably be 100 Donald Trump tokens spun up. There will probably be 100 RFK tokens spun up. This is my prediction, anyways. I think one or two of them will probably fly and die like Pepe. I think you'll see him in the top 100. And I think you'll probably see him there for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks. And maybe, just maybe, like the election gets heated enough that people actually really speculate on them through the election, and then post-election, like they're going to be worthless. In my opinion, I just that's my bold prediction for how crypto ties into the presidential election cycle. I think you're just going to see people use it as a speculative vehicle. We've already seen like the Donald Trump NFTs that really like kind of they pumped a little bit and then they crashed. I think we end up seeing the same thing done with tokens to some degree. It's just so easy to just slap on a 1 or 2% sell tax and then just turn around and take that money to raise money for your political campaign or for some sort of charity. So it's kind of a bold prediction there, kind of outlandish, but I just wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like that.
It's very interesting too, because we're seeing a lot more candidates be receptive in accepting Bitcoin. We know, I believe RFK Jr. was the first one. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. Vivek Ramaswamy, he was another one that started. I believe Ron DeSantis takes Bitcoin as contributions to their campaign. And so that's interesting to me is combining those two. It's definitely something I got on my radar because of your tweet. So thank you for that. Also, I want to give a thank you to the sponsor of our next segment and sponsor of the channel, I Trust Capital. We actually have some big news on I Trust Custodian. Fortress just got bought out by Ripple. We're going to discuss that in a little bit. But I Trust Capital is a company we go to when we want to save for retirement via a self-directed crypto IRA. If you visit their website through our affiliate link, you will receive a free $100 once you fund your account. If you want an overview on the company, what kind of markets they offer, we did do a standalone video. Make sure to go check that out after the live show. With that being said, Robin, where are the crypto markets?
All right. Well, we got Bitcoin coming in at $25,777.50. 61 cents. Now, oh yeah, your boy's back.
Not bull sound.
So is the bullhorn.
Guys, we're under 26, not bull.
And so, real quick, where's the chart? There we go. So just taking a look at the weekly chart. I did have a nice little rally yesterday up to 26.2, 26.3, and we're back down to 25. Oh, I hasn't been echoing the last couple weeks. I do think that we'll be range bound right around the $25,000 mark up until a month from now when we get our ETFs to be approved. What do you think? Instead of delay?
I think it's definitely a possibility.
Mm.
I heard
1 month here.
Here's what I heard though. I heard the Gary and company are suing Grayscale via DCG and Barry Silbert. Cameron Winklevoss and the guys at Gemini, they sued Barry Silbert and DCG by saying they manipulated the Grayscale trust. They did some shady things. And so, yeah, Grayscale won, but I'm sure the SEC is going to try to pull that out of their back pocket. So who knows? But I think it's still probable that we get an ETF approved in October. I just don't see why they would.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So taking a look at some of the broader crypto markets, you have XDC up 3%, Kronos, also known as the Crow token, up 2.7, Stellar up 2, Aave is up almost a full percent.
We got Stellar coming on our show, I believe, in 2 weeks. We're excited for that.
A little bit more red in the altcoin markets today. Synthetics, DYDX, IOTA, Frax, and GMX all down about 3% or more. And so nothing too crazy there in the markets.
Before we send it over to Forrest for some charts, I do want to share the crypto bubbles. So a couple in the green here, as Rob mentioned, XLM Crow. We have also XRD in the green. Of course, Radix channel sponsor. Hex is down 6.5%. Richard Hart has been tweeting again on Twitter or Xing or whatever you want to call it. And so, Forrest, let's start with BTC. Where are we and what levels should we see?
Yeah, absolutely. So sharing my screen here, I've got the easy bands pulled up for Bitcoin, and you can see just the situation that we're in is just pretty clear. Like, up here, we're like obviously in a strong uptrend, but we're probably overextended. Down towards a 21-week simple moving average, we're at quote unquote fair value, right? We're not too overvalued or undervalued. The market's been relatively sideways. We're not seeing like a huge pump or a huge dump that we can really take advantage of as being like an imbalance in the market. We are seeing that we have broken and kind of failed to reclaim this 21-week simple moving average. So that's where kind of all this bearishness is starting to come in where, hey, yeah, we're not at, a very overbought region, and we're not at a very oversold region, but we are kind of showing a lack of strength here by coming down and breaking the 21-week simple moving average, breaking this kind of longer-term downtrend line or longer-term uptrend line that we had. You break those two things, and all of a sudden, the uptrend and the trending up market is just not happening anymore. We do have 25K, really 25.2K as a horizontal support level to keep track of. As long as we hold above this, we are technically towards the bottom of our newly established range. So the ranges are as such, essentially, I'll get rid of the easy bands here and we'll just look at our two ranges, right? And they kind of this midpoint, that we share a midpoint. The bottom of the top range is the midpoint at around 25K, and the bottom of the bottom range is around 18 to 19K. Well, as long what you usually don't want to see is you don't want to see acceptance back into a range, right? You see acceptance back into a range below us, then you're probably moving down to the midpoint of that range, which is around 22.5, or to even the bottom of the range. Now, if we go over to the Bitcoin chart here, that I've kind of got these all these levels mapped out on, what you will see is that we have a really nice, strong chunk of support between 23 and 24K. So even if we do break through 25K, which is our price bias level right there, 25K and towards the top of our range, or I'm sorry, the bottom of our range, the top of the range that would be re-entering, we do have a couple of zones of support that we'd want to pay attention to, 23 to 24K. We fall below that, 20 to 21K. I personally am just not in the camp that, like, I don't think that we're going to see below 20 to 21K. If we do, that probably means that like Binance has gone under, or we're just capitulating and the stock market's crashing and we haven't gotten the Bitcoin ETF yet. I just think that even if we do go below there, it's probably very, very short lived. And I say that just because it would just take, like, you look at what FTX, what it took to get us down to 15K. And this is when a Bitcoin ETF was not on the table. Now you got a Bitcoin ETF on the table. We're closer to the next Bitcoin halving. Unless like just everything bad happens all at once, you know, Binance goes under, government sells a ton of Bitcoin, the Mt. Gox distributions happen, Bitcoin ETF is delayed. Yeah, if all of that happens before the end of the year, maybe we come back down and visit lows. But it really, really takes a lot of forced selling and forced capitulation. Also, miners sold a big chunk. Right? Miners sold a big chunk here. So they don't necessarily have to capitulate for a while. They should have pretty decent runway if we do fall down. So miners are probably not a huge concern. Bitcoin miner capitulation, probably not a big concern for the next couple of weeks or months. The other thing I want to pay attention to is, you know, this is a really interesting tweet. Suspicious day, Grayscale, this was yesterday. The Grayscale trusts were up 5% intraday. 10 million of Bitcoin led spot bid, with Ethereum Bitcoin down 2%. So Bitcoin was leading. That's really, really important. Kraken, Bitfinex, Coinbase, Bitstamp, Spot with heavy activity. ETF leaking rumor. Did something actually leak? And then the other thing was that Coinbase was up 5% intraday. And it's very rare that you see Coinbase stock lead Bitcoin. Usually Coinbase stock will pump after Bitcoin is pumped. The other thing I want to draw to people's attention is since the beginning of 2022, the Grayscale, the GBTC trust denominated in Bitcoin. So what are we measuring here? This chart is simply measuring what is performing better, the Grayscale Bitcoin trust or Bitcoin. Well, obviously the Grayscale Bitcoin trust, you know, started trading at a discount against Bitcoin and performed really poorly. But now recently, and if we zoom in to the daily here on this Grayscale versus this GBTC trust versus Bitcoin, we see that the GBTC trust is outperforming Bitcoin. So you'd actually have been better all year long. You'd have been better off buying GBTC than Bitcoin. In fact, if you bought it at the beginning of the year, you would have outperformed Bitcoin by 64%. Damn. And that's because the GBTC discount is starting to close. It's down to 17%. And that's what this tweet was talking about. It's like this gap starting to close, and GBTC, the trust, is starting to close. The gap closes to zero essentially as soon as we get a Bitcoin ETF approval, or as soon as the Grayscale trust is approved. The Grayscale, the conversion of the Grayscale Bitcoin, the GBTC trust, as soon as that conversion is okayed and approved by the SEC for them to convert it into a Bitcoin ETF, that Bitcoin is then redeemable or backed 1-to-1. And we should see this go to zero rather quickly, or plus or minus 1%, right? And what we also see with this discount to premium of net asset value in the GBTC trust is that as soon as this went zero, that was the start of the bear market. This is what's basically sustained, right? Like a ton of people were buying Bitcoin and sticking it into the GBTC trust because you had a premium, right? You could buy BTC at a discount and then stick it into the trust and basically get 20, 30% on it. Now we're seeing that, or once we saw that discount, that was in February. That was in January, February of 2021 when that shifted. We'll go back to January, February of 2021, and where was Bitcoin's price? We were still technically in the bull market. The cracks had just begun to fall, but then once that went negative, right, we really crashed down. That's when the bulk of the bear market kicked in. So that's starting to heal a little bit, and I can't stress how important this GBTC or this Bitcoin ETF approval and this GBTC ETF conversion approval is to the market. It really solves a lot of problems for the crypto market.
Awesome. Rob, you have any thoughts on that?
Not too much. I think
Do you think people are hearing things? You know, the tweet force kind of showed, and Coinbase rallying, and the nav on GBTC is closing, and the discount. I mean,
well, I think that people just dismiss how much it's the largest wallet, the largest active wallet outside of the with Satoshi, right?
Yeah.
Even more so than MicroStrategy. And I think that we dismiss or we kind of just push aside how important that converting to an ETF would be and how much more lucrative it would be to hold a spot Bitcoin ETF, which is more of a real value of Bitcoin versus the stock value that has a premium that shifts. I think that people are just smelling an ETF coming around the corner. I think the discussion if we're ever going to get one is out the window, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that we'll get past this set of applications. Now, maybe it gets approved in October, or maybe it gets approved in March of next year. I think is when the final deadlines come up.
Mm.
But either way, I'm pretty confident that you're going to get an approval within the next what is it, 5 months, right?
between now and March.
Yeah,
Yeah.
next five
6
months, 5 to 6 months. So I think my personal opinion, I think it's leaning towards next month, but I mean it could be 5 months. But either way, I think it's coming. And if you're going to approve if you're going to approve that large basket of ETFs, you're also going to approve Grayscale, right?
They're pretty
So
much
it's,
gonna
it's
have-
a it's a no brainer, right?
Yeah.
And especially the courts have come out and sided with Grayscale. So largest wallet converting over. I'm sure it's going to create massive volatility. I mean, think about that. I mean, there's people that perhaps don't want to sell. I mean, we always think of the bullish scenario, but there's how many people who don't want to sell or don't want to sell with the premium and are going to take a L. And so they're like, you know what? I'm gonna wait till the premium balances out. But now, what happens if you get a fair market value on the Bitcoin that you have in Grayscale, and you can just exit your position if you really want to? I mean, there's always going to be some people that want to sell that just are not because they don't want to sell at a lower value.
The
So
excitement for me is the liquidity, right? Bring the liquidity back to the market, because liquidity's
liquidity,
pretty
but
damn dry.
also think of what would happen for traders and when even if it went down and then shot back up and then down. I mean, there's going to be so much volatility, and then that right there will just bring interest. People start talking about it. Like, hey man, it's like, what happened to Bitcoin? It dropped down to 5,000, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, it jumped up another 15,000. Like, like that's what we need, honestly. I mean, we do need the liquidity. There's a host of factors. You need the miners, you need liquidity, you need new money, you need, there's a lot of things that you need, but forget good volatility. Bring the eyeballs. Bring the traders in here, right?
We know traders love volatility, right, Forrest?
All right, missed that.
I'm saying we're talking about volatility. We said we know traders love volatility, and I said, right, Forrest?
Oh yeah. I missed the very last part. Yeah. Volatility is great. That's what we want. We just want
How we make money.
volatility that starts to move to the right and up.
Speaking of making money and trading, Magic Internet Money's in the chat. What's up, Magic? How you doing, man?
Speaking of the chat, where are y'all at with this like button? You haven't hit the like? Or if you have,
Did you fix that, or you just
no, it's just a nice little stubby shorter one now.
Wow.
Now,
kinda like you? Sorry.
so you have the like button, which if you have hit the like button, do us a favor. Let's get the chat seems like it's falling asleep. So if you've hit the like button, put an hola in the chat. I'll lead the hola charge up first.
But did
So-
you like the video though?
No, I can't like my own video.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, well, like the video for the channel. Thank
Okay.
you. All right. So hit the like button. If you've already done so, put an hola in the chat. We got 80 likes in here. I'd like to see at least 80 holas in the chat. Also, I'd like to see the likes get over 100. If you're new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We got Adrian Mendez, Northwest Crypto, James Armstrong Jimbo, Saeed A, Justin Kerwood, Clowns, and Rasta Black printed 3D to all of you. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
It's just printed. It's not printed 3D. Printing in 3D is very expensive.
And All Set Miner is here as well. Hola!
All right. Guys, let's discuss JP Morgan Chase. JP Morgan is working on a blockchain payment system. What does this mean? U.S. financial services giant JP Morgan Chase and Company is reportedly exploring a blockchain-based payment and settlement system, raising optimism for more institutional adoption of blockchain. Okay. It says it is in the early stage of developing a blockchain-based digital deposit token for cross-border payments and settlements. The bank has already laid out most of the underlying infrastructure, but will wait for approval from U.S. regulators before making the token itself. Good luck to you. Deposit tokens are transferable digital assets representing deposit claims against a commercial bank. Token transactions take place on blockchains, making deposits faster and cheaper than traditional methods. This is a quote from Justin DeAnathan, the head of Asia Pacific Business Development for crypto market maker KeyRock. He said, quote, once a large player kicks things off and competitors see that as a desirable, profitable setup, it won't be long until other players launch their own solution, if only to stay relevant in an ever advancing space. Boris, I want to ask you first, what do you say to the people that don't like that institutions and banks and traditional financial players are entering our arena? What do you say to those people? And what are your thoughts on this JP Morgan article?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I hate to burst the bubble of people who are like super pro decentralization, and I am too. Like, in a perfect world, we have perfect decentralization, but like we're past that point. Like, there's no, I don't think we'll ever get to like full on decentralization where these large centralized players can't enter. They just have too much power and too much money for them to not be able to enter the space and have a large outsized effect on the markets. I think ultimately it's just inevitable. I think not BlackRock, JP Morgan was testing some payments using Polygon Matic a while back. I don't know what network or what kind of infrastructure they're building with. I know we recently saw Visa go with Solana for like a test pilot. Like all these major players are just upgrading their infrastructure. Like the payments infrastructure of 5 years ago, of yesterday, essentially is way outdated, and they're updating their payments infrastructure. And it's weird because people treat their coins like football teams. In reality, it's like they're upgrading their databases, they're upgrading their infrastructure. Like, who cares if a bank uses MongoDB versus Snowflake database? It's just like, it's weird to have like an opinion. They're going to just go with whichever one they feel like fits their needs. And if they buy, it's early days, so like if they build around the wrong blockchain and they're the one that doesn't fit their needs, then maybe they go to something else. Maybe they integrate Quant Network, maybe they go with Stellar Lumens, maybe they go with XRP, maybe they try something on Solana. At the end of the day, they're gonna probably test most of them and figure out which one works best for themselves. So to like try to pick a team and be like, oh, JP Morgan is team Polygon, or Visa is team Solana, I think it's just kind of weird. But as far as like the whole centralization, decentralization thing, I think we're just way past the point of that. I mean, the amount of money that these institutions have, they're just going to come in and they're going to control the space. I think it's pretty inevitable. Even like Bitcoin, a lot of Bitcoin is going to be going into these ETFs. That means you're going to see a lot of control from BlackRock, a lot of control from these ETF asset managers over the future of Bitcoin, because they will have a direct stake in the matter. So you'll see them start to influence decisions, whether it's through the media or elsewhere. They're going to be pulling strings. So I think like pure decentralization is just kind of a myth, and it's just kind of inevitable.
I think they can both live side by side, right? Centralization, decentralization, as long as they're treated differently, right? As long as the centralized sandbox, fine, be regulated. They're centralized players. There's more control, power, fine. Play in that sandbox. But the decentralized sandbox, right? Let the code run it, right? Let everything be trustless. That's what DeFi was meant to be. Rob, I want to ask you, Northwest Crypto said if big corporations and big money come in and buy up all the ETH and Bitcoin, then we're in the same system we have now. What are your thoughts? What do you say to that? And then also, what are your thoughts on JP Morgan and what they're doing?
Network is too big, right? Now, governments can come in and
There's only 21 million Bitcoin.
yeah, but you could the government could come in and just keep buying up on, or in some weird post-apocalyptic world, the government could seize all of Grayscale's Bitcoin. And so there are some hypothetical situations, but realistically, you, the governments aren't going to be able to buy up all the Bitcoin, or at least not enough to control the network. My opinion, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And the same thing with Ethereum. I think Ethereum is a little bit more manipulatable with a government. If you were to kind of look at that, hey, we want to take over the network side. Now, even then, if you're just controlling tokens, it doesn't give you power to change network. You have to have the miners, but you do have a lot of other manipulation tactics you could go about with that. But I don't know.
Is this so? Forrest mentioned, who knows who these large institutions might kind of piggyback off of? Is it going to be Stellar Lumens? Is it going to be Ripple, Quant? Do you think it's worthwhile, Rob, to add some of these payment system infrastructure crypto tokens to portfolios, speculating on?
Yeah. If you think the technology is going to be here, then hedge your bet and then
Is there one you
make
put at the
multiple
top?
plays.
Is there one you put at the top?
Just Bitcoin for me, honestly.
I'm talking about the payment
For
infrastructure.
the payments,
Yeah. Is there one you put in the lead?
I would just go with where the market is going. XRP, right? I mean, you don't always you can speculate all you want, take higher risk. I mean, at this point, the prices are pretty subdued compared to where they would be if the thesis plays out and that the global economy is going to run on payment style cryptos. And so if that plays out, well, then you could see XRP at say $20 or $30, Stellar Lumens at 100x from where it is, and that this price point right now is very advantageous if that thesis is correct, right? If the globe just starts using payment infrastructure crypto tokens and they get away from the fiat system, the gains that you would get now at these prices are going to be they're going to be crazy, right? You're going to be well over 100x's. And so why, in my opinion, if you're looking for conviction on one of these payment coins, why would you go for something that is untested, doesn't have a market, doesn't have adoption, doesn't have the partnerships with banks, with institutions, is new and untested? Why would you take a flyer on that if you're looking for a long-term hold? Why wouldn't you just pick up XRP and Stellar Lumens? Honestly, I would just buy both of those. If I'm in the payments, buy both of those and just sit on them. And if the thesis comes true, 5 to 10 years, you're going to be a made man.
Or woman.
But, I would also diversify outside of just the payments, because I don't know, maybe payments are facilitated and satisfied through the layer 1 smart contracts. Maybe Ethereum and Bitcoin and maybe a couple other chains, maybe just their wider or broader ecosystem that offer payment solutions, maybe they just are a one-fit-all, project, kind of like Google, right? Google started as a search engine, so much more now. I mean, that company is grown and broadcasted now, YouTube. And so
Google is.
you think about it that way. And, so you can sit here and say, hey, Ethereum smart contracts right now, it trades NFTs and you have DeFi. Just imagine 10 years from now, the capabilities of it, and maybe it'll corner that market as well. And so for me, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I'll dabble into the gaming and elsewhere. I kind of look at investing in crypto as almost like a venture capital. Hey, 10 different projects and get behind them and see what happens.
That's a very good point, right? Because a lot of these projects, and we talk about longevity, right? And we look at a project that's been around for 5 years, they've been around for a long time. But realistically, 5 years is, in the grand scheme of things, is not a long time. And so what do venture capital do? They typically invest in startups. And what are we doing, guys? We're kind of investing in startups. So that's an interesting point.
Yeah, and I just think the gains are going to be there if this plays out like we think it is. And so you don't need to go outside the top 200 crypto tokens to get those returns. If you have a realistic time horizon, 5 years, I would say minimum. Now, I do want to give a shout out to the chat. We got Sky Seam, 94 Clips, Edward Carlson, and Eddie Gee. Also, we got Tom Crown up in here as well. So, our boy, friend, and we need to get him back.
Our boyfriend, huh?
Our boy, our friend. We need to get him on the channel. We have Tom.
Tom. What's up, bro?
Come on. Come on.
We got some legendary traders in here today. We got Forrest on the show. Magic is in here. Tom is in here. Missing a few other people off the top of my head. But awesome. We're excited you guys are enjoying the content. Make sure
to all of you as well. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
Also, welcome to a brand new Ripple acquisition. Big news today as Ripple acquires Fortress Trust and expands their license portfolio in the U.S. There is speculation that they plan on going public. I don't know how that would look with Ripple overseeing the XRP token, but interesting to say the least. And I do want to note, guys, Fortress Trust, the founder and CEO, was the CEO of Prime Trust, who is now in bankruptcy. But to my understanding, everything I've read, and correct me if I'm wrong, the CEO, when he left Prime, everything was fine. They had the keys, they had the Bitcoin, they had all the backing, started Fortress, and then 2 years after he left, everything started crumbling. Fortress, again, like I mentioned at the top of the show, is the custodian that our channel sponsor, iTrust, uses. I know that was one big question when we announced our partnership with iTrust. Hey, what about Fortress? We know the same guy that ran Prime is running this one. Here you go. Now it is in the hands of Ripple. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Let us know in the chat. I'll go to the article here real quick. Cointelegraph, financial technology firm Ripple is expanding its portfolio of regulatory licenses in the U.S. with the acquisition of Fortress Trust. The company holds, and the company speaking on Fortress, holds a Nevada trust license that allows it to custody financial assets. It is considered a qualified custodian. According to Ripple's announcement, the technology and licensing held by Fortress complements its business and products roadmap. Ripple first invested in the company in 2022 via a seed round. This is a quote from Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, said, quote, as an early investor in Fortress Blockchain Technologies, we've had a chance to get to know the team, its vision, and technology. Since their launch in 2021, they've built an impressive business with recurring revenue and a strong roster of both crypto native and new to crypto customers. This was a funny tweet. So Swan Bitcoin, right? I believe it's founded by Corey Klippstein. Call him Maxis. And Swan uses Fortress. This tweet from Magoo PhD said, it looks like Ripple is now the custodians of Swan's customers. Oh, how funny. A shitcoin company now holds the Maxis Bitcoin. Rob, I'll start with you first. Ripple continues to grow, make acquisitions, spend money after spending over $200 million on their litigation against the SEC. Obviously, we can tell by their actions, the strength of the company financially is very good. What are your thoughts on this news? Is this good? Is this bad? Is this...
Yeah, I mean, why... If you're going to leverage a service and it is a cornerstone of your business model, why not just buy that business? Buy that business, right? The most successful companies do it. Every time Apple wants to put a new feature, fingerprint scanner, eyeball scanner, heartbeat monitor, whatever it is, they don't spend the 5 to 10 years developing. Now they do have a research and development team, but more times than not, then they're like, hey, that's a cool feature. Who's the leader in this space? Let's just buy them and then absorb them. And when you have a payments infrastructure, obviously the custodial part of it is such an integral part of the business model. You're going to save a lot of dollars and cents at the end of the day by just acquiring that business if you're using it as just the cornerstone of your business, right? And Fortress is a big name out there. I don't know if they're the largest custodial agent, Coinbase Ventures would be, right?
Coinbase Prime.
Or Prime, yeah. So
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I think this is the type of news that you hear in the bear market, where some of the projects are hemorrhaging
Coinbase.
Cash. Yeah, when other projects are hemorrhaging and they are trying not to go under. the strongest projects out there are building and making partnerships and spending money, right? I mean, think about that. What projects right now are throwing out so much capital that they're buying up other crypto companies? We saw Binance do that during the 2017, 2018, 2019 move. And look what that did for them. Binance came realistically out of nowhere from that time period. And I think that is what the most successful companies do. I think that's what we're seeing from Ripple Labs. You had the summary judgment for their token not being labeled a security. It's more or less how it's sold. And now you have company making more partnerships at leaps and bounds to fulfilling their roadmap. Pretty bullish on XRP. If you are bullish on XRP, put a 1 in the chat. I want to see a lot of 1s.
If you're a member of this channel, use your XRP emoji.
Or if you're just a hater, I want to know who the haters are. Put a 2 in the chat.
Or if you're in the middle, just kidding.
1 or 2, bullish or hater. Thank you.
Forrest, what are your thoughts on this news?
Yeah, so I've long been sleeping on XRP, and
Wake up, bro.
what's
It's time to
kind of-
wake up.
What's kind of shifted my mind a little bit is I know a day trader personally who I respect a lot, and they're very, very good with the charts, and they're looking at some like longer time frame charts of like Amazon and Tesla, and you can just spend like 5 to 6 years. Some of these big companies can spend 5 to 6 years in these sideways ranges, but so long as like the long-term uptrend, like on the monthly and weekly charts stays intact, you can see like these massive markups. And one that comes to mind right off the top of the head is Tesla, right? From like 2014 to 2020, it was just sideways chop, very slow accumulation. And then all of a sudden it exploded. I don't know what the exact percentages were, but it exploded seemingly out of nowhere, and became a very, very large market cap asset. And his speculation, and it's not necessarily my speculation, but his speculation is that XRP could do something similar. And he's somebody who's normally very like even right now, he's very bearish. But he threw out the number like $50 for XRP, and normally, like if anyone else said that, I'd laugh him out of the room. Yeah, anyone else says that, I'm laughing him out of the room. I'm like, but this person I respect a lot. I know they're a very profitable trader. I know they know their way around charts a lot. So I'm definitely keeping XRP on my watch list. If we start to see like a really, really massive markup and we start sending above $1 to $2, I definitely will be
that would be a $2.6 trillion market cap if it got to $50.
Yeah, sounds pretty insane. Not necessarily would it sustain up there, but yeah, I mean, you see these huge markups.
Real quick, I just want to put in perspective that these numbers sound strange to us, but when the bull market comes, it's real, right? And so look back at 2018, 5 years ago, Bitcoin was at $3,000, and if you had a YouTube channel or you were an analyst and you were to say in 2018 or look at 2019, 4 years ago, you were to say, hey, Bitcoin's going to hit 65,000. Like, I think most people would have laughed you out of the room. Like, Bitcoin's going to 20x in the next, 3 years. That's what you got out of the asset that doesn't even perform the strongest, right? It's the biggest and the hardest to move. And you go from 3,000 from 2019 to 65,000 3 years later. Insane, right? And at that time, you would have been laughed out of the room. And so when you say $50 XRP for an altcoin that is going to move harder than Bitcoin, I don't think that's foolish. I mean, we saw XRP at over $1 with all of the FUD from the court case. You had XRP over $1 and it 50x from there. I think that's a logical move as long as they continue their roadmap. I think it's very realistic.
What do we got here, Forrest?
Yeah, I mean, it's just to show you, like, on a longer term time horizon, like when you're talking about decades rather than years or even months. I mean, like this fractal here, this is Tesla. This is Tesla, and I didn't do much stretching or finessing of this fractal to just throw it over. And I know, like, okay, this would be $30 or $50, whatever, for XRP. I'm not saying XRP is going there, but I think when you look at what we just looked at with the money supply chart earlier, is like they like 3 to 5x the money supply. Like all of a sudden, you talk about I talk to my parents, and they used to go to McDonald's and be able to get a Big Mac meal for like 79 cents, right? Like inflation is real, and inflation is accelerated in a big way. So like, yeah, a $2 trillion market cap for something like this sounds absolutely insane. But when you start to see that massive money supply and the addition of fiat explode, some of these asset prices are going, like, a $2 trillion market cap in 3 to 4 years time. And I want to be clear, like, I'm not saying like XRP is going to $50 in 2024 or 2025. Maybe we see it 2025, 2026, maybe, but all I'm saying is that it's possible in $2 trillion market cap. Like, yeah, that's bigger than the entire crypto space right now. But if you look at Nvidia, like Nvidia's over, like the Nvidia stock market cap, it's over $1 trillion. It's larger than the total crypto market cap right now, just one stock. So when you're talking about like a currency that's potentially facilitating the transfer of all currencies in between countries and governments and banks and institutions, it's like, again, I'm not even super bullish on XRP. I just, like, I know we were kind of talking about it, and we brought it up, and I have a friend I respect who brought that up. And when you start looking at these things in terms of decades and not just months or weeks, or what's this price going to do in the next couple of weeks, you see the possibilities of like extraordinarily large markups are completely possible. And the thing that you got to pay attention to is a lot of times these markups, like if you look at the Tesla fractal we just looked at, that markup happened over a course of like 3 to 6 months. It was sideways chopped for 6 years, and then it just repriced over the course of 3 to 6 months. And if you weren't paying attention for that 3 to 6 months, you missed the entire move. So it's just important to be paying attention and being open-minded about some of these assets.
Awesome. All right, guys.
Real quick, Zoltan did give a $2 super chat. He was asking about thesis and Bitcoin. I'm not gonna have time to jump into it, but just a big thank you for that. Also, Fade and TradFi, also seen you here before, but want to give you another shout out. And so to all of you, adios.
Adios. Forrest, you got anything planned for your weekend, my friend? Also, where can people find you if they want more of your analysis?
Cysteine Research and cysteine.ai is the website. Do I have any? I don't know. Usually Friday night, my wife comes home from work and I ask her what the plans are for the weekend. Usually, she's got something planned, something going on. If not, we'll make plans tonight or tomorrow.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, find a movie or something.
Guys, if you are not following Forrest on Twitter, go follow him at 00Forrest with 2 R's. Also, like he did mention, cysteine.ai. Forrest puts out a lot of great research papers, puts a lot of time and effort into it. There is an affiliate link in the description if you want to support both channels. Feel free to do so. Also, feel free to check out our sponsors, BlueWireTech.com, for all your IT, networking, and cybersecurity needs. They're our go-to. They helped us a lot with our networking issues. Also, big shout out to our second channel sponsor, Radix. Radically Better DeFi. So they're our newest sponsor. We appreciate them for supporting this channel. That's how we pay our bills, guys. That's how we pay our bills. So big shout out to them. If you want to learn more about Radix and their Layer 1 protocol, visit radixdlt.com. There's a link in the description of this video as well. Go follow us on Twitter at SinCityCrypto1. If you want to support the channel, there's plenty of ways to do so. Also, we do have a merch store where you'll not only find Sin City merch, but other crypto merch as well from some of your favorite projects. So with that being said, Rocco. Guys, thank you so much for an amazing week. Next week is going to be an even more amazinger week. Have a lovely weekend. Big thank you to Forrest. We love you guys. On behalf of all of us here at Sin City Crypto, have a great weekend.
City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar.